This is the headliner from my 1994 BMW 530i. It is a touring and it has the double sunroof, which is why there are so many different pieces here, 13 to be exact. Before this came out of the car, it was in considerably good condition, no lifting, no sagging, maybe a couple tiny little stains here and there, but overall it was a great looking headliner. It was when I started removing the speakers, the lights, the different trims, the edges started lifting, and we're kind of just left with what it is today, which overall is pretty bad. Bad, 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 and really bad. So today we are gonna fix that. First things first, we're gonna remove all the old gray fabric. There's pretty much nothing holding it on anymore, so it should be pretty easy to remove. And then we're gonna take a detailing drill brush to remove all the old adhesive, because you bet there's gonna be 30-year-old glue stuck to every single one of these panels. But I've seen the drill brush make very easy work of that, so that's what we're gonna do. Once it's off, we'll wipe them down and we'll be ready to apply our new fabric. As most of you know, the car is red, it is a touring, and I wanted to keep everything as OEM as I possibly could, maybe a little OEM plus. So the fabric I chose is a crushed red velvet. That 30-year-old headliner came off so easy, and this drill brush made extremely quick work of all the adhesive. I can't imagine what people did before those existed. I'm assuming people brushed it off or vacuumed it off, but this is just drill brushed and it's super smooth. basically ready to apply the headliner. I'm gonna wipe them down with some IPA beforehand, but in terms of getting the adhesive off, that worked perfect. This is the actual headliner. Those sunroof sections go in the middle, and then there's the pillars, obviously. So I'm gonna start with these side sections, mainly because they're the smallest, but they also are somewhat complicated, so I can probably get a decent idea of how to kind of maneuver it into these, I guess, indents. Those are for the grab handles. I think the front section will be the most hard, so I might do that last. So I'm gonna roll a cart over, or a table, show you guys the headliner, and we'll get started with this process. This is the fabric I went with. It is Relicate's OEM black headliner fabric. It matches OEM texture and feel. It's foam backed like the OEM fabric. Relicate's known for making a bunch of different Porsche, BMW, and Volkswagen fabrics to the, I'd say, the highest standard quality, which is awesome. Obviously, coming with that, you have a higher price. This is about $70 US a yard. So I think for the touring, it came to about 600 Canadian to have it here, which is expensive. I get it. This is literally just fabric. That's all it is. You can go on Amazon, eBay, get fabrics for $5, $10 a yard, and you probably will be happy. My issue with that is that you're removing an OEM BMW product and replacing it with something that is substantially cheaper. You are doing more damage than good to the actual car. Not that a headliner is a performance material or a performance part, but if you can match OEM quality or upgrade, I think you're going to be a lot happier with the decision. But at the exact same time, everything's super expensive and money is crazy right now, so do what you can and what you will, and I'm sure you'll be happy with it. This is what I went with, and I'm happy with this, so I'm going to start cutting it up to the size of some of the pieces and start laying this stuff down. last piece of headliner has been laid. Please excuse this open edge. That's how it was done from the factory. When you put this back in the car, both sunroof panels sit in like a tray, so it's covered about ½ inch in, and there's a gasket which covers it even further. So that's how it was done from the factory, and that's how I chose to do it. Doesn't look the greatest out of the car, but once it's in, it shouldn't matter at all. Now it's time to move on to the accessories, the grab handles, the speakers, everything else that goes on the headliner. But first, there's junk everywhere, fabric, glue. Gonna do a little cleanup, and then we'll get on to some painting. Inside this bin we have all the gray trims that go on the headliner or the roof ceiling of the E34. They're all gray. Some of these you can get factory black, but because it's touring you cannot get all of them. So the only solution really is to paint them, and it's not a bad solution if you use professional products. So I did a test. This is one of the grab handles. Turned out good. I'm doing both sides so that it looks completely factory black. There's no gray spots on the behinds. I think it turns out good. It's solid. It should last as long as the factory finish would. So that's what we're gonna do. Take all these out, tape them up, get a few coats of black on each side, and then we can start putting the headliner back on the car, because a lot of it is held on by certain sections of these trims. Like these visors, they hold on the whole front section. Grab handles hold on the sides, so on and so on. The paint that I'm gonna use is Color Coat by Sem. Sem is becoming probably my favorite paint product. It's an OEM product. I got it in satin black. That'll match the OEM black stuff that exists. And you can use this on a number of different things: vinyls, fabrics, plastics, a lot or pretty much all of the interior surfaces. So in theory, if you wanted to just paint your headliner black, this is a product you could use for that as well. But today, we're just using it on the plastic and vinyl sections. I got the rear section in, the part with all the speakers. It was probably the most complicated because it goes behind the D-pillar and the trim around the rear quarter window. It was just kind of a tight fit, but it went in really well, which is awesome. And then I slid in the rear sunroof panel. I just wanted to see how it did go in before I filmed it, and it accidentally just clicked in, and I'm not taking it out. So you basically put it in from the front, slide it back. There's 2 clips on each side. They click in super easy, and that's it. So now I'm gonna do the front, and we'll do the side, and that kind of completes it. And then there's one last piece to actually paint, which we're gonna be fabric painting. I don't think I mentioned it at the start because I wasn't sure what I was gonna do with it, but it looks like fabric painting is gonna be the best option. So we'll go ahead and do that. But first, sunroof panel, side panel, lock them in. Fast forward a little bit, and what I really mean is like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Sunroof panels are in, I showed you that. And I also got the side panel in with all the accessories in it. So the light, grab handles, the hook, the front grab handles. I think if this was an OEM option, this is probably pretty close to what it would look like. I'm pretty happy, especially for my first time doing this. It's not so bad. So next, B pillar needs to go in. C pillar needs to go in, and then we can move on to the final piece, which is the trim piece that kind of brings it all together. You'll see there's a little gap around the sunroof panels. It clips onto there and kind of tightens everything up, and at that point, we're done. This is the last trim piece. This basically sandwiches between the metal frame on the roof and the sunroof panels, kind of bringing everything together because they kind of hang a little loose right now just because there's nothing supporting them against the sunroof moonroof panels, whatever you want to call them. This piece was going to be pretty much impossible to put new fabric on. You look, there's nowhere for it really to adhere to without there being like an open edge. So I went ahead and fabric painted it, and I think for fabric paint, this is like the perfect piece because it's so small, and it turned out, I'd say perfect, matches the color. Obviously it's just black, but I think it should look good. Now I'm gonna pop it in there, and then that should bring everything together. Turn the dome lights on, see what it looks like, bring it outside, and yeah, that's it. Gray headliner to black headliner, E34 Tourer. That was headliner attempt number 1 done. I'm pretty impressed with how that turned out. For my first time ever, I think it looks pretty damn good. It could be a lot worse, and I really do think this is something that anyone could DIY at home. Scissors, glue, maybe a brush of some sort, and then your actual headliner fabric, which could be priced little or a lot, whatever you want it to be. Super easy, and I'm assuming if you're watching this video, your headliner is probably stained from a leak, falling down, it's sagging everywhere from it being 30 years old, and anything you do to it is probably going to look better than how it is right now. So I would definitely suggest trying this one at home. Super simple. I'm excited to do it again so that I have a little bit more knowledge, a couple of things that I would do slightly differently just to make it a bit easier on myself and maybe tighten up a couple of loose ends. But for a first attempt, what more could I really ask for?